Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I am back with another video. For today's video we are going to be using Wild Heart Gypsy Soul by Picket Fence. I really love the image in this, but I also really love the sentiments. So I am working on Canson watercolor paper. I've got my stamp down in my Misty, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp this in Hero Arts Intense Black ink. The reason that I'm using Intense Black is because after I do some watercoloring, I fully intend to Copic color these beautiful flowers. So yeah, stamping on watercolor paper, you might need to stamp a couple of times just because it's a textured paper, and so sometimes it's difficult to get a good impression. So combine the difficulty of getting a good impression with watercolor paper with the difficulty of getting a good impression when you have such a large stamp. The Misty or stamp positioner that you have, maybe the route you want to go. I stamped it, I think I stamped this one 3 times. I'm only going to show you twice just so you know that I stamped it multiple times. The second time I got up off my booty and actually gave it some really good pressure. So yeah, stamped it a couple of times just to make sure that I had a really good bold black outline. And then we're going to get into the watercoloring. So I am still working on this waffle flower water media matte, still loving it. And I'm going to use some Distress Oxides. So I'm just going to smush these down on my mat here on the right hand side. You can use regular watercolors, you can use Distress inks. I chose Oxides because I wanted the background to be soft. And then I'm just going to coat this whole bad boy in water, all of it, everything. Not because I want color everywhere, but because I want the majority of the color to be at the top where the flowers are, but I also want it to run down to behind the feathers. So in order to ensure that that happens, I have to make sure that that area is wet. Your pigment is only going to go where the water is. So this really is like super simple. I'm just picking up the colors. I'm moving in rainbow-ish order. I know I used pink and not red, but don't worry, by the time we're all said and done with it, it's gonna look red. So I started on the left-hand side with the Salty Ocean, and then Wilted Violet, Picked Raspberry, Carved Pumpkin, and Mustard Yellow. Now you can see in here, and I completely forgot when I decided to use Mustard Yellow, how strong of a color it is. It's strong in Distress inks, and it is extremely strong in Distress Oxides. So keep that in mind before you start adding that to your projects. It's a very, very bold color. And then I'm just going to go through, and all watercolors, no matter which medium you're using, dry back so that they become softer once they're dry. So I want to make sure that I'm getting enough pigment on here that I'm going to be happy with the way that it looks. And I'm also kind of, letting the colors mix a little bit. That's the joy of watercolor. You can see periodically here, I'm taking my paper towel and just blotting up the excess water and pigment that's flowing out to the edges. This is just because when I go to heat set it, I don't want there to be, what do they call it? It's like blooms, kind of. I don't want that to be there. Here, I don't know why. I do not know why. Whenever I use Picked Raspberry, that always seems to be the color that, I have to put down more. I have to. It's gone. I just use it all and it's gone. And then it's still not as intense as I want it. And then once I was done putting the color down, I am going to go back in and kind of do a couple of little spatters. I like that. I think that it looks pretty. I like how some of the purple will land in, some of the blue, and some of the blue will land in some of the yellow, and I am good with that. If you're not, you may want to skip this step. This might be a little too artsy, a little less clean. And then for the Salty Ocean and the Wilted Violet, I didn't really feel like I had enough left to get really good spatters. So again, just put more of that down on my mat and picked it up, spattered that on until I was happy with it. How about you speak in complete sentences, Kelly? That's hard, I know. So I, again, sucked up all that extra moisture, and now I'm just going to go ahead and heat set it. I'm going to, after that, I'm just going to spatter on some just clean water. And this is going to pull up some of the pigment and, again, just kind of reinforce that artsy watercolor look that I'm going for. I'm just going to blot that up with a paper towel. The longer you let it sit, the more pigment it will pick up. I usually let mine sit about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds. and it still picks up enough pigment that it's noticeable. Remember our old friend Perfect Pearls? Do you remember them? Hello, friend. Long time no see. I did bust them back out for this background. Perfect Pearls bind with water, so once I mix them with those couple little water droplets, they're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to come off my card. And I'm just going to splatter that on. Once everything is completely dry, I'm going to go in with my Copic markers. Now, I learned this technique, I guess it's called underpainting, because you're still going to be able, even though I'm putting Copics on top of it, you're still going to be able to see the colors that are underneath of it. So on the right hand side of this flower, and these look kind of like peonies to me, but on the right hand side of it, you're still going to be able to see a little bit of that purple. And I learned this in a watercolor class that I took from Dawn Woolslagel. And I just think that it's super cool. I love coloring over this base layer of colors. It creates a really unique look because, as you know, with watercolor, it's almost impossible to recreate something. Like, you create it once, and that's pretty much the only time you're ever going to be able to do it that particular way. As far as the shading goes, I am really just adding shading where one object is laying on top of another. So where I have one petal laying on top of another petal, there's going to be a shadow there. These are very compact flowers. There's a lot of petals in here. And so I'm really not doing too much flicking except for the outside petals where there is a little bit more real estate. As far as the ones on the inside that are, all smushed in there, I'm really only doing a little line of color. With a flower like this, you want to make sure that you're leaving a highlight because that's going to separate your petals from each other. If you find that you are very heavy-handed and that you cannot color with 4 colors or 3 colors, that's fine. Do a shadow color and then do your highlight color. Because in the teeny tiny little areas, you won't even notice that they really aren't super blended because it's such a small area. But definitely you want that highlight. You want the highlight on each one of those petals so that they are separated from each other and it doesn't just look like a big blob. If you're having problems with blobbing when you're coloring, then cut back on your colors and just make sure you have a shadow and a highlight. All of these flowers are going to be the same, coloring them exactly the same, but I wanted you to be able to see the whole thing in case you own this stamp and wanted to see where I put the shadows and the highlights. Doing the same thing I always do, going from lightest to darkest and then darkest back out to lightest. And that just seems to work the best for me. You certainly do not have to do that. You may find going from darkest to lightest works for you, or from lightest to darkest works for you. You do you, boo. Whatever works. This is just the way that I do it. Speaking of the way that I do things. Well, first of all, I realize I've been gone for a week. This video is long, y'all. I realize I've been gone for a week, and there's been a lot of things going on, and we'll have all of those conversations. Not now, but eventually. But I had another video that was done, but it was only, I think the whole thing's like 8 minutes long. It's a super simple distress ink watercolor technique, and there's just not a whole lot to the technique, which is why it's so simple and fun and pretty, and you can make a ton of cards and just move on with your life. But I was like, if I come out with a 8-minute video after I have been gone a week, they will cut me. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was like, I will have a horde of YouTubers trying to hunt me down to be like, what the what, woman? We've been waiting a week and all you came with was 8 minutes. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and just do this one first, and then I'll release the other one maybe tomorrow or the day after. Speaking of Picket Fence, I was part of their birthday celebration, Blog Hop, and they gave away a $100 gift certificate to my viewers. So the winner for that is announced over on my blog. There'll be, if you're watching on YouTube, there'll be a link below. Follow that over, see if you are the winner. I really love their stuff. like I know oftentimes people think like as far as YouTubers or design teams or whatever, like that we're just inundated with free stuff. That is sometimes true that you get free product from people that you work for, but it is not like people are just mailing you copious amounts of product. I bought this stamp, I paid my money for it, and because I love it. I don't want to use anything that I don't love, guys. I don't know about you, but if you've ever worked for a design team, and I have, where they assigned you things, like they would just send you the product that they wanted showcased, and it wasn't anything that you got to pick out. No, kill me. I can't do it. I just sit there and stare at the product and stare at it and stare at it some more, and then I'll try something and it'll look like not good, and then I will stare at it a little while longer, and then eventually I can usually figure something out, but it is not fun for me. It is not my best work. It's not the best part of me that I can bring to the table, and it's because it was something that I would not have picked to work with. So anywho, getting off on a tangent here, I really love picket fence stuff. They have this whole series called Beautiful Girls, which I just love. I picked up 1 or 2 when I picked up this stamp set, and I fully intend to go back and get some more because they are so pretty and I love them, and I like coloring people. It's not something, oftentimes with stamps, people are hard to draw, and so usually you see people in digital stamps. You don't usually see a lot of people in regular stamps, and I mean people that look like people. I don't mean people that look like super cute little characters, though those are adorable. I'm not putting those down by any means. I enjoy those as well, but I like coloring people that look a little bit more realistic, and this is one of the ones on the market that I have really, really loved. So I'm excited to make cards with those. But anywho, if you've never been to their store, please go over and check it out. And then if you are the winner, you get $100 worth of stuff. That's pretty awesome. So that will all be, over on the blog. The winner will be over on the blog. Yeah, my whole life has been just crazy this week. I'm trying to remember where we left off. I think it was Mother's Day. Yeah, I think it was right before Mother's Day. Whew, it really has been a week. So for Mother's Day, I picked up Peanut. We went over to my mom and dad's. Did I tell you we made stepping stones? I can't remember. We made stepping stones for my mom and for for his dad's mom. And that was, it was very interesting. My sister had purchased me the mosaic tiles and like the stampers. So I just needed really to go buy the molds and the concrete. And so we did that I think last Thursday or something. No, 2 Thursdays ago, because it would have been before Mother's Day, in the garage. And that was very interesting because I've never mixed concrete before. Yeah, I never really made outside things. I'm an inside thing maker. But so we did that. We went to the store. I picked out a couple of molds because you have to let them sit for 24 hours. And we were making 3. We're making 3 stepping stones. One for here at my house, one for my mom, and one for his other grandma. And so because I knew I had to leave them sit for 24 hours, I wanted to, I just wanted them to be separate. I didn't want to have to worry about like making one and then waiting a day, popping it out, making one. You know what I'm saying? And the molds were, relatively inexpensive. The concrete was not, and it was so heavy. I don't have a lot of upper body strength, people. That's just the reality of my situation. Probably because I do not go to the gym or do anything in which create upper body strength. Copics don't weigh a lot. But nonetheless, so we got the concrete. I bought like just a plastic bucket that I didn't care nothing about to mix it in. And so it was a team effort. I measured the concrete because I was worried about him breathing all the dust in and stuff. And then he measured the water. So apparently, like, you can buy different colors or you can color your concrete. I didn't know this. It's almost like frosting, really. So I bought I bought two that were white, which I didn't know was a thing. And then the third one I bought was gray because they were out of the other brand. Like, that's all they had. So we decided that the white ones would go to grandma's and the gray one would stay here with me. So, it said, I just thought it was so much. It said it was 13 cups, 13 people, of concrete and 2 cups of water to fill a 12-inch round mold. And I was like, that is a lot. That is a ton. So nonetheless, the 2 boxes that I bought were, what were they? 13? I think they were 13. But I definitely added more than 2 cups of water, for sure, because I could not get it to mix. So originally I was mixing it with like a trowel spatula thing, and that was just not happening. Peanut was like, can I stir it? And I was like, yeah, buddy, you do you. And so he's stirring and he's like, mommy, you're going to have to do this. And then I realized that mommy really couldn't do it either. So what I ended up doing was just sticking my hand in there and mixing it by hand. If you want and I don't know why you would want this, but if you do, if you want the driest skin that you've ever had in your life, mix concrete with your hands. Like, it just immediately sucked out all of the moisture in my hand. And then it was like peeling. My skin was like peeling off. Like, I had exfoliated the daylights out of it for probably like the next 3 days. But we got the concrete mixed. And then we had some left over. Just, I don't know. Apparently I didn't do well with the ratios of mixing. They all set up and they all looked wonderful. But yeah, so we had some left over and he was like, I want to make one for Daddy. And I was like, okay, I'm out of molds. Let's see what we can find. So looking around in my garage, I found an old shoebox. And so we used the lid to make the mold for that one. And honestly, I wasn't even sure if I was going to work. But you never know unless you try. And it was an experiment. And turns out, guess what, people? It'll work. The shoebox lid will be destroyed afterward because of all the moisture and the concrete. So don't use one that you want to keep. But in a pinch, that will work to make a brick shape. And then he decorated them super cute with like the little mosaic tiles. And he would go through them and he would be like, oh, this one's really pretty. I want this one for mine. I want this one for mine. And then for Nan's, he picked out pink ones because pink is Nana's favorite color. And so he really had a lot of fun doing it. And then the stampers, my mom's said, I love you, Nana, and he put some flowers on there. They had like little shape stampers as well. And then Grandma said, Grandma, I love you, and had little hearts on it. Daddy's says Daddy. And then his says, the one that stays at my house says Nathan and the year. So that's just something I think is super cool that we'll be able to, keep forever and look back on and know when he made it because it's got the year right on it, right? So we did that. I picked him up for Mother's Day. We went to my mom and dad's for like a brunch. So we decided, my mom likes French toast. We decided we were going to do French toast, home fries, like bacon and sausage, your regular stuff. Because normally when we do breakfast at my mom and dad's, my mother makes biscuits and gravy. So that is like my family's go-to for breakfast at my parents' house. And it was the go-to for breakfast at my grandmother's house. So it's just something that's carried on. But it's Mother's Day, so we obviously don't want her cooking. So, and none of us I can make biscuits and gravy, but I don't make them the way my mom makes them. Like, I don't use the same recipe. And so we decided to go with French toast since she's a fan of that anyway. And yeah, so I guess biscuits and gravy, they're my brother-in-law, Jonathan, and then also my ex-husband, Craig, and then basically pretty much any boy that we've ever dated that we've brought into the house does not know what chocolate gravy is. Can you tell me, do you know what chocolate gravy is? I have grown up with chocolate gravy my entire life. It does not seem weird to me to eat that with breakfast. When I make biscuits and gravy, like when I make my plate at my parents', like it goes biscuits broken up, sausage gravy, chocolate gravy right on top. Side note about the card. So now all the flowers are done. There is some greenery in here, which is going to like totally complete my rainbow and make my heart go yay. So I'm just going right over it. The only one that looked a little like, questionable, and it's really not even that bad, was the one around the pink/red flower. And that's just because they're complementary colors, and it does have a tendency to make brown. But the darker the colors got, the less brown that it looked. So it ended up being okay. So anyway, chocolate gravy is a thing in my family. I've just grown up with it my whole life. But it always seems very weird to other people. So please tell me if you know what chocolate gravy is or if you've ever had it. I really love to dip my bacon and my sausage in it. I'm not going to lie. I like a little bit of sweet with my salty, and I am a fan of that. Just like Bob Evans. Yeah, Bob Evans where you are? Is that just an Ohio thing? I don't even know. But anyway, they did crepes. Like they used to have crepes on their menu. They've gotten rid of them since. I don't know why. Because they were delicious. But they would do crepes, and then you could get like a topping on them, like blueberry or strawberry banana, whatever. Just like any other breakfast bread type situation. And then I would always get the sausage patties, well done, of course. And then I would eat, like, that was one bite for me. One bite was a piece of sausage, like a bite of sausage and crepes and fruit, because it is yummy. But anyway, so we did that and all had breakfast together. Then, we did gifts because my oldest sister had to go to work. So we did gifts. My mother very nicely had Nathan pick out a hanging basket for me. And I was like, I don't have a hook. And she's like, it's in the garage because moms think of everything. So I got that. And then Eric's mom bought me flowers too. A little pot of flowers, which are super pretty. It was very, very kind of her to think of me. Because we did go out there the day before Mother's Day. We went out to his mom and dad's house and had dinner with them. So anyway, we did gifts, and then I get like Nathan's dad and I still make sure that we go, like that we take Nathan to buy something for the other one. Like the gift isn't on Father's Day. We will go shopping for Craig. We will pick him out something, and that gift will be from Nathan. It will not necessarily be from me. But so for Mother's Day, did the same thing. And they got me a little gold chain. And then unbeknownst to me, because Eric is sneaky, apparently him and Nathan were also surfing the internet, and they picked out a bracelet for me, which I adore. It's 2 little hearts, and one side says his name, and the other side says his birthday. And then there's a sapphire and a ruby. Like there's one on each heart, which is, I'm August. Okay, so my birthstone is a peridot. Nathan's birthstone is an emerald. And I was like, how did we settle on these? And he was like, I told him that he could pick the stones, and he decided he was going to pick your favorite color and his favorite color. And so that is how that ended up, because my favorite color is blue. You know, blue's my boyfriend. And his favorite color is red. So I just thought that was super cute. It's not, you know, our birthstones, which is to be expected, but it has like its own little story behind it. And I totally love that. And so that was pretty much my Mother's Day. After, well, did we play? Oh, we played Sorry. We played Sorry again, even though the rules aren't right. Thank you, by the way, for those of you who decided to look them up for me. I appreciate that. And yeah, that is what we did for Mother's Day, which was basically the start of my week. As we go through, I have more videos for you. I've told you that. We'll talk about the rest of the things that occurred during the week. That 8-minute video is not going to have a story in it. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. There's only so much time, and sometimes you just need a quick little card. And I wanted to teach you how to do a quick little card, but in order to teach you how to do a quick little card, I have to have a quick little video. Know what I'm saying? So here I did all of the shading to the feathers with the warm grays. That's not normally my go-to, but because there's more warm colors in this card than there are cool colors, I was a little bit nervous about putting the cool grays over the yellows and the oranges. I thought that they would look weird, so I just opted for warm. And then I'm going in and putting in some highlights with this white gel pen just to kind of make those feathers stand out a little bit. And I really, really liked that. Then what's pretty much after that, I did outline it. Yes, I know you probably all think that I have lost my mind. I have not. Some of you have frequently asked me why I don't overstamp them, and the reason that I don't overstamp them, like if I put it back in my Misty and just stamped it again, is because I tried that one time and the paper moved and I just ruined everything that I had just colored. And so I'm not willing to risk it again. I know you would just like double and triple and quadruple check the paper, but I'm too gun shy for it. So here for the sentiment, which ultimately I loved the florals in this set, but I loved the sentiment, which says, be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. And this just so spoke to me because I think that there are so many of us, I mean, everyone is running around afraid of something, and your fears set your limitations. That's it. That's period. So if I let my driving fear get in the way, like if that's where I stop, then I'm never going to go do all of these things that I want to do. And I know anxiety is not something that is easy to overcome for everyone. And there's some days that anxiety is going to win, but then there's some days that it's not. And so I think that this is just a great reminder of if it's something that you really want, that you're passionate about, that God has given you a heart for, then you should pursue that relentlessly. And yeah. Oh, here I'm going to use this little, I love this. This is a Laura Basson trick. I am going to use this little craft pick to get all the little strays, which actually works really, really well. I would never thought to use that for that. And then I'm just going to heat set this and then trim it down to a banner. Once that's trimmed down, I'm going to pop it up on some foam tape, and I'm not really going to add anything else to the card. That stamp pretty much just, makes the card. So I don't really need to add anything else but a sentiment. So I'm going to put that there. And then because I love all of the shimmery things, just the perfect pearls is not enough shimmer for me. So I'm going to go in and put a different kind of shimmer. I think for this one I used Clear One Castella, but I also like the Nuvo one, the clear. I just like clear glitters pretty much because clear glitters can go on anything. So I don't normally buy the color ones unless it's like gold and silver. But that's it. That's the whole card. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video.